In this video, I'm going to show you how to set snaps into leather goods. For example, I used a snap here in order to create a locking mechanism for this bracelet. If we take a look at the basic components of a snap, we have the cap, the socket, the stud and eyelet. They go together in pairs, so the cap and the socket go together, and the stud and eyelet also go together. You can see that we have two different sizes of a snap here. The larger ones are line 24 snaps, and the smaller ones are line 20 or baby snaps. You're going to need to punch two holes into your leather so that we can insert our snap. You're also going to need a setter, which is different for each size of your snaps. One side of your anvil sets your caps. The other side sets your eyelets. Now this other side is not important, and you can also just use a flat surface in order to set that part of your snap. This item here is used to punch onto your snap in order to lock it off. It is very important that you use a hard surface under your anvil in order to get proper results. A marble slab, for example, will work well. As far as a hammer goes, use a poly, rawhide or wooden hammer and do not use metal ones. With that said, let's move on to setting a snap. Before we punch in our snap, we need to make sure that the leather as well as the snap work well together. So what you do is you feed the bottom end of your snap through the leather and then close it off at the top. If you see a nice portion of your bottom piece sticking out at the middle, then you're going to be able to close off that snap quite easily. Now, with thinner leathers, too much of your bottom part is going to stick out, which can be a problem because once you hammer in this middle part, too much metal is going to build up in the middle. In that case, sand off a bit of your top piece here, and that is going to fix the problem. So with thin leathers, sometimes you're going to need to sand off your cap and eyelet. The other problem that you might have is that your leather is too thick. In that case, once you feed your bottom piece through and close it off at the top, you're not going to have enough metal here at the center in order to close off your snap. In that case, use a knife or paring knife in order to thin down the leather under your snap in order to create more room for your bottom piece. So in one instance, you're going to need to either thin down your snap. In the other, you're going to need to thin down your leather. So with that said, let's move on and actually place some snaps onto this leather strap. We finally came to the part where we hammer in our snap. It is very important that you align both parts of your snap correctly for your snap to be able to close. So make sure that you have done it correctly before you start hammering it in. You can see that I selected a hard surface in order to get the best result for my snaps. We're going to start with the cap and the socket. So place your cap into the anvil, then your leather over it. We're then going to place our socket over it. And when we're hammering in our snap, make sure that you make a couple of hits directly down and then a couple in a circle. This will flatten your snap correctly and evenly. We have one more part of our snap to set, and that is the stud and the eyelet. Now we're going to turn around our anvil. If you don't have this part of the anvil, just use your hard surface. Place your eyelet over it. Then make sure that you're able to close your snap. And place your leather over your eyelet. And then finally the stud. When we hammer in, again make a couple of hits directly down, and then a couple in a circle in order to spread your snap evenly. With that, we have set our snap. Thank you for joining me, and see ya next time.